I'm gonna pull us up here on the
And we
iPad.
are live. Howdy, folks. How's everybody doing? We got one waiting right now. Let's see. Say hello, whoever you are, because I cannot see you on the YouTube side. As far as the gun channel side goes, at the moment, I'm having trouble getting in there, so I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking gun channels is having some serious technical difficulties at the moment.
Oh, here, I think you're live in YouTube now.
Yeah, yeah. I am officially live on YouTube as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, my ghost tonight is Mia, the dear sweet wife of our favorite Travi. How are you, Mia?
Good, how are you?
You know, I was just over in Math Chat doing the whole top five. Well, actually, it was a top 10 tonight. I'm not sure who's going to come out on top of that. They just kept going down different rabbit holes all night. It got kind of weird there for a while.
I
But
didn't catch the whole show, but John Wick, like once you get into those movies, Boondock Saints, like those are in my top 3 to 5 too. So I'll be
yeah,
interested. It sounds like Boondock Saints will be number one.
yeah, I would agree with that. I think Boondock Saints is an absolutely great movie. The
Yep,
second part
classic.
wasn't bad either. The second part was actually a pretty good movie as well.
I didn't.
But
Did I see the second one? I'm not sure if I did.
well, I don't know. I wasn't there if you did.
Yeah, if I'm not Travis will be the first person to tell you. Sometimes after I watch a movie, I forget it. Like I love movies. I do. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And the ones that I like love, and I remember every piece and part of them. But I, yeah, sometimes I'll see a movie, and 3 days later, I couldn't even tell you who was in it. So I am kind of bad sometimes with that.
Okay, so what would be your all-time favorite movie?
Oh,
Hard question, isn't it?
like girly movie or
I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of girly movies.
I have like a favorite Christmas girly movie is Love Actually. It's it's super girly and it's
So,
super old.
do you make him watch it with you?
He's probably seen it, yeah, like 10 times. I watch it every Christmas whenever it hits the season, and I mean from forever, from when it first came out. My friend got me the movie. I think I even had it on VHS at one point, and then they gave it to me in
Well,
DVD, and it's just one of those that comes out every year.
it's got Rick in it. Rick from The Walking Dead.
Yes, 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 it does.
Ah,
And he looks like a completely different person in that movie,
you know,
I think.
I'm sorry that you force him to watch that. It's kind of
Yeah,
sad.
it's pretty sappy, but I like it.
It's suffering through movies like that is what we guys do for just to show you women we care.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he falls asleep half the time, but at least he starts it with me.
Uh, well, you got to give it to him. He works all the time. The man works like a slave.
He does.
He kills himself.
Yeah, and then John Wick, as soon as I saw that popped to the top of my list. And Red Dawn has always been one of my most favorite movies. But John Wick, I love.
Oh, so
I don't.
you and G Webs has something in common then.
Oh, yeah.
G Webs loves Red Dawn. He's a fanatic with that movie. He's actually went to different filming locations and have taken pictures of where they went, where they filmed.
That would be cool.
Yeah, he loves Red Dawn.
Yeah, I do too. My whole family does.
Oh, it's a great movie. It really is. It's a classic. Yeah, and it's got some great actors in it. You know, you got Swayze in there, and that what's her name from Dirty Dancing? I can't remember. Gray, Jennifer Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that
There's that other girl. I can't remember her name either, but she was pretty big too back in the 80s and 90s.
yeah. The 80s and 90s. Reliving the childhood. See,
Yeah, I was a
then again,
90s kid.
I was a '70s kid and an '80s kid. Shh, don't tell nobody that though. I'm going to keep that a secret. I remember the latter part of the '70s. Mm, dear God, I still remember Super Friends on Saturday morning cartoons. For crying out loud!
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
I mean, I was
exactly.
born in the 80s, but I couldn't tell you I even remember anything from the 80s. You know, kind of grew up in the
Oh,
90s.
I can
And
I can remember a lot from the '80s, and some of it I wish I could forget. Like Boy George.
yeah, oh, I
I
liked,
really wish I could forget that, but it's just
I remember some of his
there.
songs from when I was really little. Yeah.
It's just the '80s was interesting, especially when it came to music.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. And by the way, before I go any further, I got to say this. We have made history on my show tonight. You are the first female that I've had on the show as a guest. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks. I'm honored.
Well,
I
yeah.
was kind of like, why does he even want to interview me?
Well, because with you, I can get an inside scoop into your other half. I'm not going to say better half because, well, I'm talking to the better half of the
Yeah.
situation.
Has he been interviewed on your show?
Yeah, I've had him on here. I
Have
have.
you? Whenever you, because I didn't even know like that. I mean, I'm new. I've only been on within this platform and connected to you guys. I think it's only been like 2 weeks. So I'm still trying to check everybody's channels out and do everything. And I've checked like I saw you shot the Glock from Ghost. I've seen some of your Patreon videos for your giveaways and things, but like I didn't go the whole way back to know that you even did interviews. So I caught the Ghost one today, but I didn't know if it was just like, something that you were just going to do for one show or if that was your thing. So I'm still
Well,
trying to kind of learn what everybody does and
well,
get
this
my
is
foot wet.
when I first got into this, it was mostly going to be the whole interview thing, but scheduling issues means that I have to set these things up. Sometimes you hear dogs barking in the background. Set these things up, 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance before I can get anybody on.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've talked to several of the bigger channels. I've talked to Such. I've talked to Military Arms Channel, and they're both wanting to be on the show. It's just getting the timing right.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it is what it is, and it's we're working on it. We're getting it back on schedule again, and
Well, I like the idea of interview. I was even saying to Travis, if I do a channel, that was one of my ideas. And then of course when I found out you did it, I was like, oh no, I wouldn't do that if somebody else was already doing that. But I think it's nice to um I mean, I know you guys do talk about a number of things in the chats and there's a lot of inside jokes and stuff, but I feel like the potential for newbies, like I've already seen new people since I've been here and it's only been 2 weeks. So I think it's a good idea for people who are new. It's definitely a resource. They can just kind of, they're like, oh, I don't really know anything about that guy. And then they could go click on your video and
yeah.
figure
And
it out.
here's the thing that we like to tell the new guys. If you're gonna do it, the best thing to do is just do it. Because if you don't jump in there and get your feet wet, you just never will. You'll keep putting it off. To me, when I started doing this YouTube thing, and it wasn't totally new to me because back in the early 2000s, late 90s, we used to do this same thing basically on Yahoo chats. When Yahoo was huge, they would have their own little chat room thing set up, and different rooms were set up for different things, and you would go in and you'd talk to people, and you know, and that's to me, this is just another updated version of that,
Yeah.
and it just came natural to me. Um,
It's
yeah,
cool.
we've
I
got
think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we've actually got some people joining us here. Let's see who's out in the lobby now. We got Midnight, of course. C4 Defense, how you doing? Vanessa, how are you? Tardot, OB, how you doing, buddy? Uh, how many of y'all are coming from Matt's chat? All of you, I'd say. The important question is what were the top five at the end? I wasn't around for the end. I don't know who the top five were. What the top five money movies were. But I'm pretty sure Boondock Saints was number one. At least
Yeah.
that's where it looked like it was going when I left. And I'm sure some Batman movie ended up being probably number two. But you know, but
I actually didn't see any of their names in there, but I wasn't in there that long. They might not know.
uh, I'm not sure either.
Well, I hope I don't bore you guys to death.
Oh no, we'll keep it. We'll keep it lively. This is a lively show. We can sit here and pick on your husband all night. That in itself will generate all kinds of ratings.
Sounds
We
good.
we do that on a regular basis.
I know you do.
Yes, well, it's not just me. He's a Travi. We can't help but to pick on him, poor guy.
Yeah, he picks on people too.
Oh yeah, well, he's an ass, and he knows he's an ass, just like I know I'm one. So it works out perfectly. Um, but yeah, if you want to do an interview show, it's not going to step on my toes. I wouldn't mind at all. Um,
I everybody has been saying that, like to not worry about what other people are doing. And to be honest, I'm a super private person. Like even social media lately, I mean, that's well within my generation. People put everything online, what they have for dinner, what doctor's office they're checking into. Like that's not really me. But and especially after I had my son, I kind of even pulled back from the little bit that I did post. But the more that I've been active in these chats, I kind of realized that there is a need for more women to be involved in these things. So, I mean, I just have to make a decision if just need to put myself out there or I just need to participate as a guest. But I definitely think, I mean, we need more women involved, and I think it would maybe help to push it into a new direction. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, but I'm leaning towards doing it.
I think you should, and I think you're right. Um, I have been trying to get together for a couple months now a panel of different women involved in the shooting sports and firearms and this, that, and the other to discuss, their takes on certain issues. And most of the ones that I've contacted, it was, I can't do it for this reason or that reason, or I don't think I would be a good interview, or that's just not my thing, or they keep coming up with the excuses.
I
One
think
actually,
one thing you have to remember with women, and this is my specific situation, but a lot of women that I also know that I have met through shooting, most women who are carrying for a reason. Something's either happened to them or they grew up with guns. I had both. I mean, I grew up with guns and they were a common part of my childhood. And, we were taught about them very young, but my parents were divorced and my mom was not super pro gun. So when my parents split, I would have been in a house, without guns if it wasn't for, the second thing that happened. And I have found that whenever it's not my immediate friends and my immediate circle, when I talk to some women, it's either for fear of something happening or that something has happened that scared them into that. And I think that's part of the privacy part of it, is that maybe they don't want everybody knowing that they carry or want to put everything out there. And that, I mean, I understand that.
yeah, I can get that, but these women that I have contacted have already put themselves out there. They're already got YouTube channels set up, or doing other kind of social media. So it's not like I'm getting somebody off the street that's never done this before.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, yeah, maybe they want to do it on their channel.
that I could understand if if they were just some average person that's never come on here one of these shows before and just nerds. I can get that. But if you're already doing something like this, if you've already got your name out there, what's it going to hurt to show up on people's show and say, "Hey, look, this is my thoughts on the process. This is what I'd like to see more of, or this is what I'd like to see less of."
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of women about firearms and firearm industry and this, that, and the other, and I keep getting this. I wish they would get rid of the sexual innuendos from the posters or the gun bunnies or this, that, or the other, because it gives us all a bad name. And on one hand, I'm like, I'm still a guy. Yes, I like to see those things, but I can see where she's coming from too. Why do we always have to sexualize the guns, or the gun industry?
What's funny? I actually don't really have a real big problem with that. Like that's just the world of advertising, and it's sad, and I think that as long as you're an involved parent and you're teaching your child, the right things to be proud of, and if you're carrying a gun, it's certainly not because it looks nice with your outfit or it's an accessory to make you look sexy to a man. Like I don't it's okay to me that they have hot women out there advertising guns. Um, but that being said, I think when women go to purchase guns, or I think there has to be sensitivities to, I guess, the other side of it too, like the purchasing side of it. Maybe not have it, like you said, like that's the only thing that you see of those women involved. It's okay if it's in a magazine, and it's okay if that's what they're, using as their models. But like I just saw the other day about this, and I wish I would have written her name down because I mean, I don't really follow models, but there was a famous gun model that's, I guess, one brand's main model who just came out, and she's like super anti-gun. And I'm like, why would you ever pick an anti-gun person to be your main model that you've been using for years? And now she's vocal about it, and apparently has been for the last year, and they're still using her. And that's idiotic in my opinion. So that bothers me more than the sexualization of, the women part of it. That's kind of counterproductive to the cause, I think.
Mm. Well, you said that you was raised around guns. Where were you raised? What's your background?
So my family is from the like Johnstown area. Now, not in the city. There, my grandparents had farms, so in like farming towns, like right outside. I guess like around here, it would just be like our suburbs, but out there, it's like all farming towns, and coal mining towns. And I think in Johnstown they had a steel mill, I think. So we had a lot of farmland out there. So my family was all big gamers, hunting and fishing, and um, not just that, but for hobby and for sport. And a lot of my uncles would go on like the bigger game hunting trips, not necessarily to other countries. I mean, I did have one uncle that did that, but very into the sportsman's part of it. And then, I mean, my dad is just like a gun nerd. Like he should be like a gunsmith or own a gun shop or something. He's just super knowledgeable. So we were just raised to respect the gun, how to learn to handle the gun, what to do if you encounter a gun. Like it was just a normal thing in our house. So I don't like, I don't even know if those kids exist today. I hope they do. And I think they do within our community. But like, I feel like even when I was in high school, the anti-gun thing was started, and it was like taught guns are bad. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes the only times that I've encountered people that were raised like that are when I'm in a specific knit community like this one, or when you're at the range, and either somebody got into guns like through the military and then expanded, or grew up with it through hunting and fishing, or it was just like a hobby that they found later in life. I kind of had a little bit of all of those kind of into my upbringing. And then I had some unfortunate situations happen to me when I was younger. And that's what made me decide to personally own a gun of my own and carry concealed. But it really did start with just being familiar and being brought up to like just be educated about and, you know, respect human life and to respect the guns and even animals. I mean, with my grandparents being farmers, my on my maternal grandfather's side, they even had livestock when I was very little. Now, I'm a vegetarian, so it's not like I was involved in any of that. But even with hunting and with farming and guns, I mean, I was even taught of about, you know, the respect for the animals' lives. So I don't know. I just feel like I've had a good, well-rounded way to be introduced to guns, to be able to own one responsibly before I was married, you know, to somebody who knew about guns. Because when you're young and you decide as a woman to own a firearm, I mean, it might take you 5 gun shops to walk in and to find the person who's actually going to help you, like, you know what you're doing, or you know what you're talking about, or you're going to have to ask your dad or bring your dad, or does your boyfriend like this or whatever. So you know, I think at the beginning, girls can be very shy. And luckily, I was able to get my first couple firearms through family members until I got, you know, comfortable enough that I was able to do those things on my own.
Uh, I hate. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and she's in the situation where she wants to start carrying a gun and buying a gun and buying her own concealed carry weapon. And she was asking me all sorts of questions. You know, what should I buy? How should I buy it? Where should I go and look for these things? You know, what do I need? And I was like, ho, wait a minute. First of all, when it comes to a firearm, I cannot tell you what gun to buy, and it's a very specific thing for people with guns. But I equate it like buying shoes. You have to buy a gun that fits you.
That fits
Yeah,
you, that is your style, that's what you like. That's the one question that always made me upset at the beginning. Um, is, well, what does your dad shoot, or what does your boyfriend shoot, and what are you comfortable? And it's like, it doesn't matter what my boyfriend likes to shoot. Like,
exactly,
this
because
is
your
for me to
boyfriend won't.
carry.
Your boyfriend ain't gonna be the one carrying your gun.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I don't, I'm not saying it came from a malicious place or even condescending. And I don't think it was intentional. I just think that was the norm back then. And that's another reason why I think it would be a good idea for more women to have channels, is just to change that, to change how women are talked to when purchasing guns. Now, I've heard some positive things being on here too, and being with gun gals, and some girls that have had some great experience. And the last gun I bought, I had a great experience too. That, I mean, but that was my first one. So
You know, I've been in gun shops and looking around. Maybe making a purchase here and there, and there'll always be this. Well, not always, but there's always that situation that pops up from, well, time to time. Not always. I'll say it again. Um, where there's a girl that comes in and she's wanting to buy a gun, and the first thing he says is, "Well, here's a revolver," or "Here's a Glock." And he doesn't take into account, okay, maybe she knows what she wants. Maybe she's got an idea of what she's looking for in her head. Let her tell you what she wants, and then, you know, usher her into that area of, you know,
yeah, or at least what
defined
she's shot
space.
before, what
Yeah.
she's comfortable with. I mean, I'm okay with revolvers. I mean, I've had a couple. One of the ones that I like for home use um, is a 38 special, but you're right. Like, that's, they pretty much want to give everybody a 380 or a
Yeah.
38 and call it a
Well,
day
if you would have reached my
with a
mom a
pink handle.
380, she would have laughed at you.
Yeah. I
If
know.
you would have handed my mom a 380 and said this is the perfect gun for you, my mom would have literally laughed in your face. She'd say no, give me the 357 because
Yep.
that was my mom, and she could shoot a 357 as good as any man I had ever seen. So
Yeah. Well, the 357 was the first handgun I shot, so I have a soft spot for it.
it was. She had a. It was a. I think it was a Smith and Wesson police revolver, 357, and man, she could have been a bullseye shooter with that thing. She was a little bitty thing. If you would look at me and you would look at my mother, you would never figure that I was her child because she was tiny. I think the most she ever weighed in her life was probably 120 pounds, maybe, and she was 5'3". But
Oh, wow.
yeah, but she could shoot.
That's awesome.
I had when I was a little kid, I used to watch her out shoot dad, and he would get mad. I thought it was
That's
funny personally,
that's
but
awesome.
I thought it was funny, but because he would get mad and start cussing, and she'd just laugh at him, and she'd laugh, I'd laugh, kid, everybody else would laugh, and the more we laughed, the madder he got. So it was hilarious. So, what do you own now as far as guns?
Well, I
Yeah, that's a kind of personal question. If you don't want to give that information, I understand.
I will tell you my main two. It is I have the 38 special for home defense for my specific quick carry, for a quick grab, and I carry the Sig Sauer P938, 9mm, and that's my first. I, I don't want to say first, but it's my first. I carried the revolver on person for a long time just because when you shoot a lot of different guns and you have a lot of different things to grab, where safeties work different, certain things have locks. I just when there's a lot, I always wanted to be able to go back to this works the same way every single time. And not that they all don't, but just the one that I was most comfortable with, most familiar, which is why I still use that for my main one for home defense. But those are the two that I'm most carrying right now.
Now, do you shoot rifles as well, shotguns?
I've never shot a shotgun. No, that's not true. No, that is true. I've shot rifles. I've never shot a shotgun, and I've never shot an AR or an AK. So, and I never really felt the need to. I mean, I do now. Now I'm so excited about it. But like when I first got into everything, my main thing was for concealed carry and in the car and home defense. So I was just more into finding like the perfect pistol. And now I would like to shoot everything and anything I could find.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop you right there for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Midnight is slacking. He's truly slacking. Now, not too long ago, I know that he purchased himself a rifle, and that's great. That's wonderful. But now it's time for him to purchase his wife a rifle. Midnight, what are you waiting for, buddy? Do you hear? She wants a gun. She wants a rifle. Get this lady an M4. Come on, dude. AR-15. What are you waiting on?
Yeah, most of the rifles that I have experienced shooting were like hunting rifles. And it was a long time ago. It was before I ever had a gun in my home and all of those things. So it's been a very long time. And being a young girl, of course, the kick gets you. And I think just with my priorities at the time, but now that I know more about the ARs and the AK, I mean, I think that's our next day that we have off together is what we're planning to do.
Okay, okay. See, do you, I want the people over on the YouTube side listening to this to just start giving Midnight hell. Just give him
Well,
hell. Do you see?
to be fair, he is trying to get me to build an AR and an AK, and um, my theory is I would rather us have one. that I you're just him have one that I could shoot and then we get another gun.
No,
But
see,
I
that's
mean,
not
I'd
not
love to
good.
build my own AK. You know, I'd
That
love to.
that's just not good enough. I mean, he just in the chat just now he said he would give you one. He's gonna take one that he's already bought, that he's already shot, that he's already played with, and hand it to you. It's a hand me down. She don't need a hand me down. Buy this woman a rifle, man. Buy her a Colt or a Ruger or a Savage. Buy her,
Yeah, he
Lord.
knows a couple that that I've been eyeing. I've actually, we've always just, that's one thing we've always, because I was into guns before him. And I think probably people he was with before was maybe a different situation. And it was just never was a thing that, I mean, I bought him a gun as a present, but I've just always purchased my own. So, it's definitely, I mean, it's nice to get one, but I also would like to be involved in the process because, like you said, you know, guns are very a specific taste, a specific style, like just what you're into, what fits your hand, all that stuff. So I would feel horrible if it was like a surprise and I was like, ooh, I'm not into that. So,
Well, see what this is how you fix that issue. See, you've got a birthday coming up. I'm sure sometime this year. Christmas is coming up. Mother's Day is coming up. So that's three opportunities to buy you a kit to build an AR plus buy you a completed AR. Hey, and if you want to go better than that, you can go to Palmetto State Armory. And if I'm not mistaken, they've got the 2-for-1 deals going on now. They got an AK and an AR that they're selling for. I think it's a little over $900, maybe just under 1,000. So you get two for $1,000. You can't beat that. So she could have her own AK, her own AR, and then you buy her the stuff to build her own. And the problem solved. Midnight. See there?
yeah, and you know,
This
I've never built anything myself. So this would be my first, and that would be pretty cool and special to do with him as a couple because a lot of outside of just growing up and learning in my family and in my family friend from my seafood, a lot of things have been on my own. Some of the classes that I've taken when I was younger and stuff. So that would be a nice thing to kind of um, mesh our two worlds together here.
Yeah, I think that the battle cry from this point on is get me a rifle. That's going to be the battle cry for the next little while. I think. Uh, well, it would be fun for you and her to build one together. Nobody's denying that, you know. But while you're getting the parts together to build one, you could just go ahead and buy her one, and then over the time you could build her like a top of the line AR. Build her a $3,000 AR.
Travis knows I do have I have a purse and a shoe problem. So
Oh, oh,
we
oh,
were talking
oh,
about
oh,
AKs
oh,
and
oh.
ARs, and
That
I mean,
explains a lot.
a couple $1,000s is a really nice bag too. So
Yeah, 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 but you can't shoot with a bag.
true.
Yeah, yeah. Think about the fun you could have with that AR that you could never have with that bag. Now, grant you, if you hit somebody in the head with a bag, I'm sure it'd probably kill them just as dead. But especially if you carry a
Well,
bag like my mother did,
yeah,
this thing what
I'm not gonna argue. I mean, I'm open to new experiences.
my my that was another thing about my mom. She she didn't carry a pocketbook. She carried a suitcase, and I'm not sure what she carried inside this thing, but it weighed a ton. I've seen
Yeah, did she have a lot of kids?
I've seen sledgehammers that didn't weigh as much as my mother's pocket.
Yeah, it just happens. When I mean, the older you get, the more kids you have, and people want everybody wants you to carry stuff when you're going everywhere. It just happens.
No, 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 no. See, the kids was out of the house. We were all gone. And mom would say, would you go get my pocketbook for me? Bring it to me. Yes, mom, I'll do that. You go get the thing and it jerks your shoulder out of socket when you go to pick it up. It's like, oh God.
I think that's probably 80% of women have that problem.
Well, let's see. I've seen a lot of women. They have makeup and stuff in their bags. Well, my mom never wore makeup,
Oh Jesus.
so
I
I'm not.
Yeah, I
I'm.
have that in my bag.
Mom, what do you have in this thing that makes it weigh this much? And I was afraid to open it and look because I didn't know what I'd find, and just the thought was
No, you
no,
don't go through a woman's purse. No,
no,
no.
no, 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 no. See, no, well, not just that. Is my mom was, weird. She might have guns, knives, ammunition, a flamethrower, a
That's not
kitchen sink,
weird.
a kitchen sink, you know, maybe a hit list somewhere. It's just things that a guy does not need to see. No, 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 no. And from time to time, she would do that. She'd say, "Will you get this out of my pocketbook?" No, I will not. I will bring you your pocketbook so you can get it.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
This is no.
Did your mom have any pink guns?
No, my mom would have killed somebody if they brought her a pink gun. She was a classy lady, you might say, but she wasn't girly.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, she liked blue guns. She liked steel guns. Um, and I guess the closest thing that she had to what I would call a lady's gun was a high standard 22 that
Yeah.
Dad had bought for her when they got married. And
Yeah, I don't have a pink gun either.
I don't think I ever even seen her shoot that. I know she had it. I shot it, but I'd never seen her shoot it. In fact, I probably shot, oh God, 10,000 rounds to that poor little pistol. I bore that barrel out. But
Did you say it was a 22?
yeah, it was a high standard 22, and I
Yeah.
don't even know if high standard the company still exists anymore.
Yeah, when you're
It
young, 22 shooting is fun.
Oh,
You
it's still
shoot
fun
for
today.
hours.
It's still fun today. I can go outside and shoot 22s all day and just never get tired of it. Just plinking.
Yeah.
See how what the smallest target you could hit at 25 yards is.
Yeah, I actually was just looking at I think it was a couple days ago. There might even be a new one up now. Ghost put up about his drill of the month, and I actually that's such a good idea. I want to start trying to do that every month because you get so into your range routine sometimes, and it's nice to try, even though you're still shooting a target. It's nice to try different things and to switch it up every now and then and keep it interesting and exciting. And if something ever does really happen, it's definitely not going to happen at your routine in the range. So that's such a good idea.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something else that you might want to consider. I mean, I don't know how you carry your guns, but today, I bought that Ruger. I brought it home yesterday. Well, I've got a holster and stuff for it. So today I got dressed, put the holster on the jeans, you know, and I was practicing drawing the gun from a concealed position. It's a new gun, and it weighs more than the carry gun I got now. So I need to work out that muscle memory to get it in
Hmm.
line with this bigger, heavier gun. So I guess I stood there for an hour just drawing and reholstering this gun. And, you know, I think that particularly with the way women dress, because they dress completely different than guys, I guess that would be a whole different routine for you, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, and we just talked about this on Gun Girls the other night. I have been saying that I'm actually struggling right now to find the perfect way to carry. I carried the same way for years. And then once I had my son, I just didn't feel safe with a gun that didn't have a safety on person all the time when we're so active and doing things. So that's why I switched to my EDC carry, being the SIG, and even placement of carry has had to change. The gun's a lot larger. And the biggest thing for me is even if you find something that's good in one situation, like I was saying, I've always had two jobs for as long as I can remember. And one job, is the whole you have to dress up, like super dress up, pantyhose and heels every day. And the other job is like scrubs, which is the equivalent of yoga pants and a t shirt. So you go,
Oh
and then
yes.
when you're casual, it's clothes in between there. Every single outfit is different, and you could carry different, and what works for you on one day might not work for you the next day. So I mean, I have my go-to for when I'm going certain places with my son or around the house, in certain situations, but I'm still trying to find the perfect fit. And even that, when that happens, if you're dressing a different way a different day, it's very different for girls, because even though guys might be a jeans and a t-shirt kind of guy, but yet you wear different t-shirts and different jeans every day. Girls don't dress like that. Our outfits are typically different at least 5 of the 7 days of a week. So it is a little more difficult for women to find the perfect carry. And there's definitely things that I thought I'd never be into that I'm kind of into right now. So, and I'm still looking. So I think when I find the perfect thing, I will definitely make a video about that, because I think all new moms struggle with that when you have a little one, and especially when they get to the toddler, and young child phase where they're super active and you're just active all day. So that's
You
like
know,
my current. It's an obsession. Even it's like my current obsession is trying to find the right thing for me right now.
well, I've done the same thing throughout my life. I have carried in a cross draw, try cross draw, and I've behind the back, and you know 3 o'clock positions, 4 o'clock positions. Just trying to figure out what works best for me. I even tried a shoulder holster for a little while, and
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing shoulder holster here soon. That's my next try.
you know what? I like the shoulder holster. I thought it was a very comfortable way to carry, as long as you get a good rig. You don't want to get a half-ass rig, because then it's not only uncomfortable, but it feels like you're wearing a straitjacket. So
Yeah.
you need to make sure it can be adjusted to exactly how you want it. Um, and now I've never been a inside the waistband kind of guy. I like outside the waistband carry.
See,
So
that's
I
hard. That's very hard for girls. I, I like outside too, but we were saying too the other day, girls just have curves where guys don't have curves. Girls have hips. So where on a guy, you put an outside the waistband carry, and if you have a t-shirt over it, it might not look any different. Girls already have a curve there. They've already got a hip sticking out. So you put something on the outside, not that the inside doesn't make it look bigger. It's just a little easier to conceal. So it's hard. I don't, there's probably no perfect answer.
I don't think there's a perfect answer for even guys, because like I said, we will change positions. I won't do the whole Mexican carry thing. That just to me, that's just asking for you shooting yourself in a
Is
very
that the appendix carry?
yeah the yeah appendix carry. Yeah, just that's to me that's just taking a risk that there's certain things in certain areas that don't need to have guns pointing at them ever. And I try to avoid that. Um, but now, I'm basically, I carry on the hip, strong side, and that's where I'm at, And for me, I have learned that it's more about the holster than it is the actual positioning on the hip. If I've got a decent holster, I could wear one at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you know, um, and it makes really very little difference as long as I got a good holster. If I've got a
Oh, I
crap,
see. They said Mexican is carry with no holster.
yeah, well, yeah, Mexican carry, appendix carry, either way, you're pointing a gun in a bad place. That no, I don't know. Some guys do that.
If it makes you feel better, I've seen a lot of people shot in the pelvic area that really didn't do much.
Yeah,
I should do a video. I mean, I've been working in the emergency room and critical care since I started working. And, oh my gosh, years. And I have seen gunshots with shotguns that looked like nothing. The person walked in and walked out. And I have seen 22s where the person died or was in a coma for a very long time and super messed up. So, like, but surprisingly, I have seen appendix carries gone wrong where they actually weren't so bad, if it makes you feel any better.
oh yeah, it does make me feel better. I still ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, I can
Thank you.
see how
Got
a
got
guy would be a little.
yeah, yeah, no, not me. I mean, there's guys out there do it. More power to them. I'm not gonna say you're wrong for doing it. That's not my place. What I will say is you're a braver man than I am, and I'm gonna leave it right there. Um, it's just not a risk I am personally willing to take. So, got another question for you. And then I'm going to open it up to the chat because I'm sure there's people out there that have questions for you as well. Um, what's your unicorn gun? What's the one gun that you've always wanted that you've just not been able to get your hands on?
Well, the last time I thought about it, it was a Kimber, but I'm telling you, things are they're changing so fast now. I don't even know what it would be right now because that is before my son was as active as he is now. Um, it's before I found the gun that I'm carrying right now. I don't know. I still really want a Kimber. Um,
Which Kimber do you want? Is there a particular model?
yeah, I don't remember what it was because we looked at three. Travis, do you remember the one we
I'm,
shot at my dad's range?
uh, I've always liked the Kimber Warriors. I thought those were sexy little guns.
Yeah, I've shot a couple, and honestly I like them all. But there was one that I liked aesthetically. I just liked everything about it, and um, I bet you Travis knows. I just can't remember. And that's the other thing. Like I'm so not good. Like you guys know all the exact names and the nicknames and all the stuff. I do not know all that. Like I know what guns I have, and I've always been one of my biggest fears when I had a child was growing up in a house that had so many different guns and how certain things work different ways. I kind of wanted Travis and I to have guns that were streamlined where the safety went the same way. Just everything worked the same way, and you didn't have to worry. Like we looked at a couple guns that were just very different, and I just didn't want an emergency situation to be like, oh, which one did I grab or which one is closest? And then just for there to be a couple seconds of hesitation where there shouldn't be. So I have always kind of, just because of the amount that I have shot and been exposed to, I honestly have always tried to not go too in depth about to certain guns unless it's going to be my gun because I just want to make sure I keep everything straight with what I have in my house and what I have access to.
One of these, the ones you're talking about?
The carry too. I don't remember.
Well, if it's one of these,
My
if
brothers
if
with
it's
the
one of these, it's a
laser
good
sight,
choice.
Trav.
Ah, okay. Okay then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm opening it up to the audience. If you have any questions for Mia, shoot them out there, and we'll get to all of them we possibly can. Be prepared. I'm warning you. These people can come up with some stuff. It's like, here's a great one. What's it like being married to Mohawk Boy?
It's like being a single person. I never see him. It
Um,
didn't know it wasn't always like that. He used to have 2 days off a week, and I would always coordinate my day off at work with his day off, and we had a great couple of years. But right now, we don't see each other too often.
okay, Jared's got a question for you here. What's your favorite food, and what is the favorite food that Midnight cooks for you?
My favorite food that Midnight cooks for me is his pork belly um, with congee, and it is the he does a couple different pork belly styles, and I like the kind with God, I'm blanking on the sauce. Hoisin sauce, hoisin glaze. And that says a lot about that dish because I have been a vegetarian almost my entire life, and I will eat meat for certain things when Travis cooks certain things for me because sometimes he just doesn't give me a choice and he's like, here, you have to taste this. And pretty much almost every time that he's done that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll eat that. So like a couple times a year, like I will allow myself to have, you know, a couple meals of meat.
How hard is it for you to actually get to the point where you will eat meat?
I don't have. I just never was a big meat eater, and honestly, the reason I became a vegetarian was because of the meat industry and animal rights. It's not I tread lightly in this community because I don't have any qualms with hunting or even farming and livestock if it's done in an ethical way. It's the meat industry that I have an issue with. So I that's the reason for me being a vegetarian. I don't hate meat. I just was never a person that had to have meat and potatoes. I just eat I mean, I do. I really eat like I was a vegan aspiring vegetarian for a long time. So I really do. I'm okay with a vegetarian diet. It's not hard for me to go without meat. I don't crave it yet. I don't hate it. There are things that I miss about it. My grandpa had a smokehouse and deer jerky every hunting season was freaking amazing. And the barbecue that he would make and things. And I mean, how many vegetarians do you say, like, I would do anything to taste that barbecue again? It was so good.
My grandpa was
There are things that I would just, and I know it was killed in an ethical way because it was, killed by my family. So I know that it wasn't within the meat industry, but so I'm not like a super, like, a tree hugging stickler when it comes to certain things like that, but I do love his pork belly. I refused to eat it for probably 4 years, and then he broke me down one day, and now it's my favorite.
See, I understand what you're saying. My grandpa was one of these people where he had just about the exact same breakfast every day for the last 50 years he lived. It was always, unless my mother was cooking for him, it was smoked pork chops, eggs, and biscuits. That was his breakfast every day if he was cooking it, which was, 6 days out of 7 in a week. And on those nights when I spent the night with him, I could not wait for morning because this man made the best biscuits, especially in the winter. He had a wood burning cook stove in the kitchen. He also had the electric one, but he had this wood burning cook stove. He'd make those biscuits in that wood burner. And oh my God, they would taste so good and they would come out absolutely perfect every single time. I don't know how he did it. The man was a genius when it came to making biscuits, I guess, and cornbread. He'd do the same thing with cornbread.
Yeah, my there's people don't cook like they used to. It's and especially when you grow up on a farm, I remember even running out to the garden and picking my tomato and my lettuce for the salad and go getting the corn out of the field for corn on the cob, like sweet corn, or
Yep.
making sweet corn bread. Like I don't. People don't even know what tomatoes taste like nowadays. And even if you didn't have a farm, it things weren't genetically modified like they are today. So food just doesn't taste the same. So marrying a chef is as close as I've gotten. He's actually done some of our family recipes, like with his gourmet twist on it, that have come out really
Yes, Ellis started a food chat, but
good.
actually I didn't. It was a question that one of the audience members asked. So get to work. Go fry something. 2-bit fry cook. Lord. See, even when I've got you on the show, he's butting in. He just can't help himself, can he? I think he's jealous. Damn it, she's on there and I'm not. I
Well, I don't know. He's really busy at work today. He might just be. I'm not sure he'd even have been able to come on.
yeah, we'll see
But
how
I
busy.
didn't. I didn't listen to his interview. That'll be interesting.
Uh, his interview was a very special thing. It was. I can tell you the exact date I did his interview. It was December 24th at about what 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight, something like that.
So let me turn the interview thing on you for just a second, if I can ask you a question, because you
Anything you want
asked
to ask me.
me about like being brought up with guns. So what? I mean, was that the same thing for you? Did you start young, or did you um, not really start carrying on your own and owning your own in your own home until you were older?
That's an interesting situation.
Because I know I did hear that your dad shot and your mom shot.
Oh,
So,
I cannot remember a time in my childhood where the house was not littered with guns everywhere. I've told the story before, but the house that we had when I was very young, it actually burned up later on after my grandfather died. That house burned up, so we had to move into his. But in that house, and I can still remember it, we had this huge front porch, right? And there was a screen door, the regular front door right there in the middle of this porch. You'd walk in, and on the wall straight ahead, there was a picture of Jesus, right?
mm-hmm,
Every other wall in the house had a gun rack on it. And some of them had 2 or maybe 3 gun racks on it, right? So you walk into the hallway and you walk down the hall, and there was more gun racks in the hall. And then when you get into the bedroom, my mom and dad's bedroom, there was gun cabinets and gun cases and more gun racks. So I was, and dad was a part-time gunsmith, full-time miner, and it got to the point where they actually built a extra room onto the house just so he could keep the guns in there and he could do his gunsmithing. And then he expanded it a little more and built another room off of it so he could, you know, get local police and police throughout the state of West Virginia would come to the house to have dad work on their guns.
mm-hmm.
The man knew what he was doing, apparently. And he actually built a spare room onto the house for these state troopers to come and stay at the house instead of having to go to the barracks in Welch, which was 10 or 15 miles away. So, I grew up with guns. I shot my first gun. I think I was 3 or 4 years old. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a 20 gauge shotgun. And it was a long barrel, 20 gauge shotgun. And dad actually had to help hold up the front of the gun because it was just too heavy for me at that age to pick up, of course. And I remember pulling the trigger and I remember it knocking me on my ass. That was my first
Yeah.
experience with a gun, period, shooting one. And I was hooked from that point on. Wow, I like this. I want more of it. So that's, and I wouldn't give it up. I loved it. Uh, you know,
So
and
you had guns. Like, did you hunt?
oh yeah, as a kid,
Okay.
yes, we
Yeah.
squirrel hunted, we deer hunted. I haven't been deer hunting in many years at this point, but you know, I've, life happens, so you sort of lose things here and there. I've So I made a decision last year. Okay, I'm going to buy me a gun that I can hunt with, and I bought the gun that I was going to hunt with. So this year, hopefully, I'm going to get out in the woods. I'm going to do some hunting. And I'm going to, you know, start picking up where I left off many years ago.
Yeah.
But
I like
yeah,
to know when
that's
people started too.
and I shot my first handgun. I guess I was 8 years old. The first time I ever shot a handgun. Rifles I'd been shooting for years. Handguns was a bit different.
Yeah, handguns. I mean, what's the law for owning a handgun? 21 in our state. 18. I mean, 18. Well, you can have hunting stuff at I think 14, right? Um, but like when your family has them and you have access to them, of course you're practicing and using them younger. So I always try to keep in mind it. When I meet people, it's a big difference if you start when you're young or if you start when you're an adult. And not to say that that means that you're any better or you're not, because I'm sure I'm not better than anybody. But it's just kind of gives you an idea of what you have in common with the person and things like that.
So when you and Midnight go shooting together, and I'm sure you do, who's the better shot, you or him?
Um, we don't shoot next to each other. So I mean, we do, but like we kind of do our own thing when we go, or we go with family. And I mean, there's been times I've been better. There's been times he's been better. Depends. I mean, I have always. I probably shoot a little closer to the target than he does. My dad can shoot way far back, but my specific goal has always been for an up close like home intruder or somebody that's like really meaning to do me like physical or my family bodily physical harm. So I kind of focus on that when I'm there. I know that my dad does these like long range polar bear shoots, and Travis can get into that stuff too. And I'm kind of more for
Just
the
basic stuff.
defense carry, and I kind of focus on that. So we're not always working on the same things when we go. And when we go to the inside range, we are sometimes separated by that thing. I always get him to come and look at my groupings and give me some tips or anything like that. But I don't suck. I mean, I'm not like the best. I mean, there's been times where I think I've probably done a little better, but I'm probably also standing a little closer.
I think you're just trying to protect his ego.
Uh-huh.
I think you're just trying to protect his ego. I think that you're probably out shooting him every time, and you know,
Well, he's been shooting as long as I have, and he shoots a lot more than I do. I have to say, when I first got into owning and having one in my home, my initial purpose, and like I said, my parents were divorced, and my initial goal was kind of to learn how to just handle that physical contact with somebody and maybe how to disarm someone with a gun. And I started there, and that's kind of, I mean, I was doing martial arts at the time too. It just so happened that my Sifu was into that stuff too. So we did a lot of weapons training in class too. And not just with guns, with our niece is Filipino stick fighting. So you use anything from knives, nunchucks, like anything. You can use machetes, like big, huge swords. So like a lot of that stuff is very similar, and that's where it kind of started. And he kind of always told me that if this is what you're specifically worried about, like even when shooting, you should stay within this certain range. And I think if a person was far enough away from me, I mean, my next thing to do would be to run unless they would be in my home. So we kind of, I think he does it a little more for sport and a little more for improving things. And I'm definitely always focused on the same thing when I go, and I probably always will be. That's just always been a big part of my um, reason for why I carry.
so what kind of martial arts was you taking?
I took Kung Fu was my main one, Dragon style, and then I did Chinese kickboxing. arnis, which is Filipino stick fighting, and taekwondo. And then I also competed in forms, which is just like the art of it. So like you could choose a weapon and then you would do like fighting sequence, but you're not actually fighting anybody. You would just show the forms. So I did a bunch. And then
Well,
that's the weapons training was also like through the guy that ran that class, but that was just something that kind of we did. I was the only girl in the class. So there were two other guys that were involved in the weapons training class, and that wasn't actually a class that they offered there. We would just usually get together an hour before or after class, like 2 nights a week.
so out of all of those weapons that you were using, what was your favorite?
Um, I like in our niece, I like the basic Filipino stick fighting. So it's two bamboo sticks, and I mean, swords are okay. I got a really nasty gash on my calf one time, and that kind of was like kind of a wake up call for me that regardless of how good you think you are, how much better you are, if you're against somebody who's not even better than you but could be lucky, I mean, something could happen. And kung fu is very different, and that type of a it's not a point system. Like you go until submission when it comes to certain things. It depends what you're working on. So I like the sticks for the simple reason that I was the girl in the class. I was the smallest one. And I was at the time when I started
Which
taking
probably
martial
meant you were the
arts.
fastest one.
What's that?
That probably meant that you were probably also the fastest one in the class.
Oh no, there was like some super athletic dudes in my class too that were around my age. But I started at, I want to say at 14. And at the height, and my class, I was the youngest one in the class. And, but I mean, there were boys in there that were 14, 15, but you had to have your parents sign. But most people were between 18 and 45. So, like, even when I would do hand to hand and even in Chinese kickboxing, when you would spar, I was 14 years old going up against like 35-year-old men. So, when it came to the weapons at that time, I was most comfortable with sticks, but I mean, we had to use them all. We had to fight with them all. We didn't get a choice. And there were some pretty awesome drills that we did. Like I was saying, even if anybody carries a knife, and I mean that I don't think I even would carry a knife unless I ever would have gone through something like that. Some of the knowledge that I have from those classes are just amazing, and it makes you feel so much better and more confident about your ability, and you don't want to be too confident, but I'm not sure that I would ever introduce a knife into a situation unless I knew I had, or at least thought I could maintain control of it the whole time.
I tell you, the martial arts weapon that I have always thought was amazing, especially to see them in use, was the kamas. I love those things.
Was
You
the
know,
what?
just the kama,
Uh-huh.
the two sickles, I guess they are. It's
Mm-hmm.
man. If I seen somebody coming at me with a pair of them, I don't know if I would. Well, I don't know what I'd do. Shit or
There
run.
was one that's very similar to that is on, it's one huge one, and it really just looks like a huge blown up sickle, but with a thicker blade that goes on the end of a long stick. So the long stick is the bow. But a lot of times in our niece, they'll add a blade to either one or both sides of it. So I also like the bow. I mean, the bow or the sticks were my favorite, but um, that was the scariest one for me. That always gave me butterflies when I was sparring with those.
Mm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been going for about an hour and what, 12 minutes. So we are going to call this one done. But before I do, I have a question for you folks. No, it's spelled with a K, Kamas. There, midnight. Poor guy. You gotta teach him everything. Um, I think Mia has been a wonderful guest tonight. I'd like to say thank you, Mia,
Thank you for
and
having me.
and I would like to know what the audience thought. Do you think I should have her back sometime? Maybe at a later date? Get her back on
I
here.
thought we were going to be talking all about midnight. I was nervous I was going to get in trouble.
Nah, nah, nah. See, I just wanted Midnight to sweat a little bit.
I
I wanted him to sweat a
think I
little
was
bit.
sweating more than he was.
No, you did fine. You never stammered. I'm impressed. You did very well.
Thank you.
I think I would like to have you back at some point later, and maybe if I can ever get this panel chat with the ladies up and going, um, I'd like to have you on there if you would agree with that.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate that. So, and Alan B Pro just showed up. How you doing, Alan? Or should I say
Jan is
Jan?
gay.
Yeah, Jan is gay, exactly. And he's never going to live that down. Whether he likes it or not, he will always be gay. he, he shot himself in the foot with that one, and there's nothing we can do about it. Jan will always be gay, and apparently so will Alan. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, why am I crazy, Alan? See, this is what I get. This is the kind of people that show up tonight. Why am I crazy, Alan? Let's hash this one out real quick. Give him a minute for the lag to catch up. You wasn't
What
boring.
did Travis say? Travis texted me to know if you had your own show. He wanted her to watch if you did. He wanted me to watch my own show? What? Oh, his wife watched. Okay, so no, I don't have a show yet. I am thinking about I am gonna do a show. Like I said, I'm
Good.
a very private person. I'm just gonna take one for the team, and I need to talk to somebody who knows about like VPNs and privacy and stuff. But and I'll probably go into that whenever I start my channel. But I think I am gonna do a show, and I'm going to try to pull some more girls in for us. I I think our 2A is more important than my privacy issues. So,
You know what? And you've got a whole bunch of people that's here to support you. In fact, I'm sure that everybody that's listening to my voice right now has got your back. And Gun Channels is there. Anybody there is willing to step up and help you out in any way we can. So, you know, just jump in, get your feet wet. Um, is this is a medium that reaches a lot of people. It really does. I mean, granted, my show don't. The most I've ever had was like 120 views on any one of my videos. So
and everybody who I've spoken to so far has told me that they are so nervous, starting out. And I do have nerves. I just, I mean, I'm not, I mean, you're going to, if somebody is interested in watching my show, people would find out anyway. Like, I did have a pretty serious stalker at one point in my life who showed up over multiple different years from the time I was very young until just a couple years ago. Marrying a huge dude with a mohawk and tattoos helped me, but and I haven't seen the person in a long time. But that was my biggest concern. And I guess to be honest, if I'm gonna put myself out there, I'm in the right community of friends to do it with. So that does make me feel a little bit better.
now, like I said, we are here to help you out, support you. If you decide to do that interview show, let me know. I would be more than happy to be a guest on your show if you'd have me.
Sure.
And I'm sure Ghost would jump in there. So would Clover, Matt. So we could line you up for guests for the next 6 weeks at least if you want.
That would be awesome. Yeah,
We,
I'm
we,
trying to
we
do something different. I'm definitely trying to do something different. So
and
I will take advantage of that.
don't worry about stepping on anybody's toes. You do what you got to do, and that includes mine.
Okay,
We
thank you.
will. Not a problem.
Well,
I
thank
want
you
to.
so much for having me. I mean, I'm sorry, guys, if I was a little bit boring,
You
but
wasn't boring. You was fine. You was great. I was
all
probably
right,
boring. You were wonderful.
all right, thank you.
I'm the most boring host on YouTube. So
Well, I watch it. I can't be that boring.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I have to force compliments out of people. That's
You've got people watching now. A girl that just joined within 2 weeks here. Hardly anybody knows who I am. And, I didn't really come in with like an agenda or anything to talk about. So, you're not
well,
doing bad.
here's what I do on this show. And again, I've said this before. I don't write any of the questions that I ask anybody down. I just go right ahead and run it. It's two people sitting around a campfire or sitting in a bar talking to each other. That's it. That's what this is. We're getting to know each other. And through that, the audience is getting to know both of us. And I think that's great. And I think it's wonderful. And guys, that's it for the night. I thank you all for watching. Remember, hit up on gun channels if you're not already there. It's a great source for information about anything firearms related. And G Web should be starting up here in a few minutes if he hasn't already. So y'all have a good night, and we will see you next time. And tomorrow I might I say, have a big surprise for you. Very special guest if they decide they can show up. I'll let you know.
Nice.
Yep.
All
See
right.
y'all.
Well, I'll see everybody in G Web chat. Thank you for having me so much, Outlaw.
Remember, folks, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be back. Have a good one.
Bye.